July 14th, 2019. Just after sunrise, police in Utica, New York began receiving frantic calls. People online had stumbled across something horrifying. Photos of a teenage girl's body spreading rapidly across social media. The images had been posted by the man who killed her. And before police could even reach the scene, thousands of people had already seen the crime. The victim was 17-year-old Bianca Devins, a quiet teenager who dreamed of studying psychology. Her killer was someone she trusted. But what made this case truly disturbing wasn't just the murder, it was what happened after. Utica, New York. To many people who knew her, Bianca Devins was a creative and thoughtful teenager. She loved music, online communities, and had plans to attend Mohawk Valley Community College, where she hoped to study psychology. But behind the scenes, Bianca struggled with serious mental health challenges. She had battled depression, anxiety, and trauma for much of her teenage years. Because of that, the internet became a place where she felt understood. Online communities gave her a sense of belonging she sometimes struggled to find in real life. But the internet can also connect people in dangerous ways, and one of those connections would soon change Bianca's life forever. In April 2019, Bianca met 21-year-old Brandon Andrew Clark on Instagram. At first, he seemed like a normal friend, polite, friendly, helpful. Her family even welcomed him into their home. But some of Bianca's friends believed the relationship was far more complicated than it appeared, and possibly much more dangerous. Brandon Clark had a troubled past. When he was young, he witnessed a traumatic event that left a lasting impact on him. His father once held his mother at knife point for hours. The experience shaped much of Clark's childhood. By the time he met Bianca, Clark had become deeply attached to her. Police later described their relationship as personally intimate. But Bianca herself saw things differently. She told her mother she did not want a romantic relationship with him. Still, Clark remained close to her. Some people close to Bianca believed Clark was obsessed with her and possibly manipulating her to keep her around. One friend even feared Clark was exploiting Bianca while they were using drugs together. But despite those concerns, Bianca continued spending time with him. And in July 2019, the two planned a trip to New York City for a concert. Neither of them knew it would be their final night together. July 13th, 2019. Bianca Devins and Brandon Clark traveled to New York City with a mutual friend to attend a performance by singer Nicole Dollanganger. For Bianca, the concert was exciting. She loved music and the underground communities that surrounded it. The night seemed normal. Friends talked, music played, photos were taken. But sometime after the concert, something happened that would trigger a deadly chain of events. During the trip, Clark allegedly saw Bianca kiss their mutual friend, and according to investigators, that moment may have sparked a confrontation. After the show ended, Bianca and Clark began the long drive back to Utica. What happened next would become one of the most disturbing crimes linked to social media in recent years, because sometime during that drive, the argument escalated, and by the early hours of July 14th, Bianca Devins would be dead. As Bianca and Brandon Clark drove back toward Utica in the early hours of July 14th, the tension between them grew. Investigators believe the two argued about what had happened at the concert, particularly the moment when Clark allegedly saw Bianca kiss their mutual friend. At some point during the drive, Bianca fell asleep in the back seat of the car. But Clark was still awake. According to police reports, Clark had brought a knife with him that night and kept it hidden near the driver's seat. Sometime before dawn, while Bianca slept in the vehicle, Clark attacked her. By the time the violence ended, Bianca Devins had been fatally wounded. Instead of immediately calling for help, Clark stayed at the scene. Investigators later said he built a small bonfire nearby and remained there for hours. But what happened next would turn the crime into something far more disturbing than a typical homicide case, because Clark didn't keep the crime private. Instead, he decided to broadcast it to the internet. Shortly after Bianca's death, Clark began posting online. Using Discord and other social media platforms, he uploaded graphic images of the crime scene. Along with the photos, he posted a message that read, "Sorry, you're going to have to find somebody else to orbit." The images spread quickly. Within minutes, people in online communities began sharing screenshots and warning others about what they had seen. Some users tried to report the content immediately. Others attempted to stop the images from spreading. But the internet moves fast, and before platforms could react, the pictures had already begun circulating across multiple sites. For Bianca's family, the situation became a nightmare. Many people online had seen the images before they even knew what had happened. Meanwhile, Clark continued posting messages and calling family members. Some of those calls sounded like a suicide note. Concerned relatives quickly contacted emergency services, and soon police began rushing toward the location. By early morning, Utica police were receiving multiple calls. Some came from people online who had seen the disturbing posts. Others came from Clark's own family members. But one call stood out. It was from Brandon Clark himself. During the call, he identified himself and the victim. He told the dispatcher he wasn't planning to stay on the phone long because he still intended to take his own life. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Clark lying on the ground near a green tarp. The tarp had been placed over Bianca's body. As police approached, Clark attempted to harm himself, but officers quickly intervened and secured the scene. He was taken into custody and transported to the hospital with serious injuries. Later, investigators confirmed that the victim was 17-year-old Bianca Devins. Clark was charged with second-degree murder. The case immediately began drawing national attention, not only because of the brutality of the crime, but because of the way it had spread across the internet. The murder of Bianca Devins shocked communities across the United States. But the tragedy didn't end with the crime itself, because the images Clark posted continued circulating online for days. Social media companies faced intense criticism for how difficult it was to remove the content once it began spreading. Lawmakers and internet safety advocates began pushing for stronger regulations designed to prevent violent imagery from going viral. Meanwhile, the legal case against Brandon Clark moved forward. In February 2020, Clark pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. Later that year, a judge sentenced him to 25 years to life in prison. For Bianca's family, the sentencing brought some measure of justice, but it could never undo what had happened. Bianca Devins was only 17 years old. She had dreams of studying psychology and helping others who struggled the way she had. Instead, her story became a reminder of how quickly violence can intersect with the digital world, and how the internet can sometimes amplify tragedy in ways no one could have imagined.